What's going on? What's happening, fellas? It's your boy KD. Let's get right into it, man. So, today I'm going to give you guys 5 body language mistakes that most men make that turn women off. All right, fellas. And I'm not just going to give you the mistakes, but I'm going to teach you how to fix them today. Now, the first body language mistake that most men make that turn women off is slouching. All right, fellas. Slouching when you sit, slouching when you stand, and slouching when you walk. All right, fellas. Now, this is something that when I go around my day to day, all right, guys, whether I'm at the grocery store, whether I'm at the bank, whether I'm at the gym, no matter where I'm at, I see a lot of men slouching. All right, fellas. Now, you may say, well, I'm not talking to a woman, so I can slouch when I want to. If I'm just hanging out, reading a book, doing something, driving, a woman is not around me, so it's not going to be a big deal. I'll tell you why it's a big deal. All right, guys, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're slouching wherever you go, if you're slouching when you're sitting, slouching when you're standing, slouching when you're walking, when you get around women, fellas, it is going to be hard to break that habit. All right, guys, it's going to be a natural thing that you're going to do subconsciously and you're not even going to notice. All right, fellas, but women will notice. All right, guys, when you slouch around women, all right, fellas, it may not be a big deal to you because you may be very confident. You may be very sure of yourself and you may have a lot of energy and enthusiasm. But when you slouch, you show women none of these things. All right, guys, when you slouch, you do not show confidence. When you slouch, you do not show energy. You look very, very lazy when you slouch. All right, guys, there's a difference between how I'm sitting right now in the car and when I'm sitting like this. All right, fellas, how I was sitting previously shows more confidence. My chest is up, my shoulders are back. All right, it's like a string pulling my shoulders back. All right, guys, and that's how you fix it. You have to be aware and conscious of your body language. All right, guys, there's a huge difference between when I approach a woman, chest up, chin up, looking confident, shoulders back. All right, got my shirt fitting nice on me, smelling good with my top tier charisma on, G. All right, versus even though I'm looking good, even though I'm smelling good, I'm slouching when I walk up to her. Okay, guys, women are not interested in sad men. Women are not interested in men who don't have confidence. Women are not interested in men who don't have energy. And these are all signs you show when you slouch. All right, fellas. So stop slouching, guys. All right. You need to practice this. When you're in the car, sit up, chest up, shoulders back. It may be uncomfortable the first time you start doing it if you previously used to slouch. All right, guys, but you have to practice this because you can practice body game. All right, guys, you can get in the best shape of your life. All right, fellas, but if you still slouch, it's not going to show a woman that masculine frame that you have. And this is all what today is about. It's about masculine frame, portraying body language cues that show that you're a masculine man. Because when you stand upright and when you sit upright, all right, guys, what you will command is attention and respect. All right, guys. A lot of fellas don't know, man. These small body language cues change a lot, G. All right. Somebody can see you and you're slouching, and they may believe that they don't have to respect you just because of how you carry yourself because you don't look like a man that deserves respect. All right, guys. But just simply standing up straight, all right, looking confident, shoulders back, chest up. That will command attention and respect, especially from another body language mistake that most men make with women, guys, is fidgety and nervous movements. All right, fellas, you ever notice, all right, fellas, or have you ever seen in public, or just somebody talking to you, like you're trying to speak to them, you're trying to tell them something, and they're playing with their hair, they're messing with their clothes, they're trying to adjust themselves, they're looking around, fellas, they can't hold eye contact. These are all nervous and fidgeting movements. All right, fellas, and that's exactly what you portray to a woman when you do this. You look nervous and you look like you lack confidence. Lacking confidence is one of the most repulsive traits that a man can have around a woman. All right, fellas, I don't care who you are, what you look like, how tall you are, what kind of job you have, how much money you make. It doesn't matter. All right, guys, you have to show confidence. You have to show that you're sure of yourself. So when you're playing with yourself, bro, messing with your eyes, looking around, bro, that does not show a woman confidence, nor does it show a woman that you're interested. If you notice, when women are nervous around men, they play with their hair, they're real fidgety, they're very nervous. You can tell, you can just see it in their body. All right, fellas. So when you do this, you look like a woman, G. That's how women are supposed to act when they enter a masculine man's frame. All right, guys. But if a woman notices that the moment you start talking to her, you get all fidgety or you get nervous, G, you're going to lose that battle unless you're very, very attractive. All right, guys. And I always say this, bro. When you're really attractive, you can get away with a lot, G. You can get away with a lot. But even if you are attractive, you don't want to take that chance. And this is a habit that you want to break. All right, guys. You got to cut out the fidgety stuff. You got to cut out the nervous stuff, bro. When a woman is talking to you, G, you got to hold eye contact, G. You got to be present. All right, guys. And that's how you fix it. You got to be present. You have to be aware of your actions. You have to be aware of where your hands are going. All right, fellas. If you notice how I talk on most of my videos, I use my hands. All right, guys. I use my hands to express myself, to convey different messages that I'm trying to give to you. What this does for me is it prevents me from doing these little fidgety things like touching my face and moving around, adjusting my clothes, trying to fix my hair. All right, guys. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do this when you speak, but it's a good way to solve this problem. Another good way to solve this problem is to just be aware. All right, guys. You control your body. You control these little nervous movements that you do every time you talk to a woman. All right, guys. So it might take practice. It might take you disciplining yourself and dropping your hand every time you want to raise it up or every time you want to, play with your beard or whatever, bro. All right, fellas. Now, I'm not saying if a bumblebee flies across your face that you got to let it sting you because you don't want to look not, you don't want to look like you lack confidence in front of women. I'm not saying that because that's a natural movement to swat a bee if it's in your face. All right, guys. But if nothing's going on, if it's a nice subtle conversation and you doing all this fidgety stuff, bro, and you can't sit still, all right, guys, that is not attractive to women and it definitely turns them off. And that leads me to my next point, guys. All right, fellas, another body language mistake is lack of eye contact. All right, fellas, this is probably the number one thing that shows that you don't have confidence. All right, guys. And this is not just with men, but women suffer this as well. Most people don't know how to make eye contact. All right, fellas, I made several videos about why eye contact is very important and different strategies and techniques that you can do to improve your eye contact. All right, fellas, but this is going to take practice. One of the things that I used to do, guys, when I used to do public speaking is I would practice my speeches in the mirror and I would stare at myself and hold eye contact with myself while I'm talking. All right, guys, great way to practice. Or practice with your girl, or practice with your friend, or practice with your coworker, somebody you know. And when they're speaking to you, you want to practice holding eye contact for at least 80% of the time that they're speaking. All right, guys, when people are talking to you, most of the time, about 80 to 90% of the time that they're speaking, you want to be engaging and holding eye contact. All right, fellas, one of the great ways to fix this is to actively listen. Nod your head when they state a positive point that you agree with. These are simple things that you can do to not only hold eye contact, but let a person know that you're actively listening. Because when you're not making eye contact with somebody when they're talking, especially a woman, she doesn't think you're listening. All right. Even if you don't even care what they're saying, still hold eye contact. All right, fellas. One of the things is it's polite. All right. It's polite. Like, I don't like when I'm talking to people and they're not making eye contact with me. It shows me that they're not either listening or interested in what I have to say. All right, fellas. This is a general rule, a cardinal sin that you cannot do. All right, guys. And that's not hold eye contact with people when they're talking. All right, fellas. And for women, it's just simply unattractive, guys. It's unattractive. And the reason why it's unattractive, again, is because it shows lack of confidence. Fellas. And the next one, and this is my favorite one, the next body language mistake, fellas, when you're talking to women that turns them off, is crossing your arms and closing your body. All right, guys. Now, I just want you to imagine, let's say you're talking to me right now, guys, or I'm talking to you. We're having a conversation. And while we're talking, I'm standing like this. All right, guys, I got my arms crossed. All right. What that's probably going to tell you is I'm guarded. All right, guys. Either I'm protecting myself because I don't trust you or I'm guarded. All right, guys, there's something that I'm hiding. I don't want to open my body because I'm afraid you might attack me, or I'm afraid that, I'm insecure about something and I don't want you to see it. All right, guys, or I feel that I have to protect myself. Anytime that I go out in public and I cross my arms, it's probably because there's something in the room that I don't like and I'm not comfortable with. All right, guys, and I'm not really confident about what's going on. Now, I'm not saying crossing your arms shows lack of confidence, but when you're having a conversation, a mutual conversation with somebody, you approach a woman, she's approaching you, guys, drop your arms, open up your body, chest up, shoulders back. All right, guys, that is part of masculine frame, having an open frame and an open body. Just picture if you're out on a date with a chick. right? And the whole time she's at the table, y'all standing up, she's just like this the whole time. All right. In your eyes, you're gonna think she's pissed off about something, or she doesn't want to be there, or she's uninterested. Okay, guys. So this is very unattractive to women. I mean, it's unattractive to people, period. All right, guys. But there is no reason why your body shouldn't be open, your chest shouldn't be up, you shouldn't be actually facing a woman, or at least have most of your body facing a woman. All right, fellas, this shows confidence. This shows that you're not afraid of the woman. You don't have any worries whether it goes right or whether it goes wrong. You'll be okay. All right, fellas. So definitely fix this. This is really a big one that is very easy to forget, or very easy to not be aware of. And that leads me to my next point, guys. Even though I tell you you need to be open, and even though I tell you you need to not close your body off, one of the mistakes that you can make is being too aggressive and being too dominant. All right, guys. Now, there's a lot of people talking about it's a bad thing to be too masculine or whatever. But the point is, guys, when you are overcompensating, when you're not being yourself, all right, fellas, when you're like stepping into a woman's space, and let me explain what I mean by being too aggressive and being too dominant. All right, guys. Everybody has a bubble. All right, guys. Everybody has this imaginary bubble around them, and we call that our personal space. All right, guys. So even if you're talking to a woman and she's interested in you, in some situations, there's a line that you can't cross. All right, guys. Now, I always want you to be full with your intentions. All right. If you want to have sex with a woman, give her sexual energy. All right, guys. If you want a relationship with a woman, be yourself, and the relationship's gonna come by her request. All right, guys. But when you're being too overly aggressive, like you're stepping into a woman's space, you're touching her when she don't, you know what I mean? Like you barely know her. It's the first time you approach her and you touching her. Gee, that's too much. All right, guys. Anytime I meet a woman for the first time, I never touch her unless she goes in for a hug, or unless the sexual chemistry is just there. All right, guys. Especially in 2004, G, you can't be touching these women. But that's another conversation for another day. But when it comes to attraction, guys, being too aggressive, being too dominant, especially too early, very unattractive. All right, guys, very unattractive. When it comes to masculine frame, there's a gauge, okay, and there's a line that you cannot cross over. All right, guys, so you have to read the room. You have to know if a woman is really attracted to you, or her interest level is kind of neutral. All right. If her interest level is kind of neutral, G, keep your distance. All right. Have a mutual, cordial conversation and let it flow. Now, if she has high sexual energy for you and she's all over you and she's touching you and she's getting in your bubble, in your space, fair game, G. Play ball. All right, guys. But other than that, G, you got to be aware of being too aggressive and being too dominant. All right, guys. Being too dominant, especially with women that you just met. If it's your girl, G, you can be all up in her face, G. You can grab her, spin her around, fondle her, touch all over her, G. All right, be right up in her face. But when it comes to women that you just met, G, you got to understand boundaries and distance. All right, fellas. So, like I said, man, these 5 things are basically just you honing in on your masculine frame, G. That's really all it's about. I got a video right here that's going to help you a lot more with understanding eye contact, how to maintain it, all right, guys, and how it will work with attracting women. All right, fellas, I do appreciate you guys again for watching. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And if you got value today, don't forget to hit that like button. All right, guys, it's your boy KD. We out of here, baby.